for our listeners to leave the hustle behind so that they operate from a balanced feminine and masculine energy.
We have those both energies inside of it, as the Hindus call it Shiv Shakti, Chinese call it yin and yang. They're both a part of you. Your body is not complete without the two energies. Welcome back to another episode of STFU Moment Podcast. I'm Akansha with my beautiful co-host Kristy over here. And today is an interesting episode today, Kristy. We're talking about the feminine and the masculine energy. And what do they exactly mean for your business or for yourself?
I think a lot of people get confused when we talk about masculine and feminine energy, and they confuse it with the notion of gender. We're not talking about gender here. As we were talking about right before we started, everybody has feminine and masculine energy. So we really want to discuss how you can enter into the feminine and stay grounded into the masculine.
So what exactly is a feminine or masculine energy, and where do you think people usually operate from?
So in my experience with the clientele that I have had in my inner circles, my one-on-ones, my yogi people, is they're always more so in the masculine. So masculine energy is the logical mind, the structure, the goal-orientated, like the goal-driven kind of movement through business. It's also thinking you have to do it all yourself, be super independent, and you're always looking outward for results, confirmation, affirmation, and validation. That's what it is. And then the feminine is where you enter into your intuition. You enter into the creative energy. It's like sensuality. It's spirit, like getting into spirit, which you need both. You need both to go into business. So for people who are predominantly moving through their business in the masculine, it's the people that are working endless hours. They're the hustling, they're go. They don't know how, like, they don't feel like they can give themselves permission enough to pause or to stop. So it's interesting that that's kind of the way our society, even in Canada, that you're trained from a young age to, you need to work hard to get where you want to go. And you can, but it's not, I don't know, I don't want to work there anymore. How about you, Akansha? Where would you say, for our listeners, where would you say you're operating from right now? And is this, as you move into where you're at, would you say that this is kind of a new space you're entering, or is this something you've been operating from like a long time? Like, is it balanced? Is it more in the masculine? Is it more in the feminine?
I would say that right now I feel very balanced.
Yeah.
But had you asked me the same question a few weeks ago, I was much more in my masculine energy. And I've been actually told by my friends that you're very masculine. Like you don't have that femininity in you. Like you're someone who goes, like, if something needs to be done, you're such a go person that you will get it done. You'll give your long hours to it, and you won't move until things are done. You're operating very much from a logic and being very action oriented than someone who brings in her intuition and who brings her voice and who brings her charm into working. And now coming to this balanced state and finding that sweet spot where I do still operate with logic, but I don't stop my intuitions from coming in. I don't tell my creativity that no, people are not gonna like this. I tell her, girl, go shine bright like a sun. You do what is necessary for your business, and I'm having fun with that. Plus, I'm becoming more spiritually aligned. I'm tapping into those energies. It's so funny, Kristy, that when I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about things that I was doing, not per se that they were wrong, it was just right in that moment. But coming into the third year of business, going into the fourth, it's such a different and beautiful journey, and which has allowed me to meet my friends who have supported me to become more creative in my life. Because when I was not creative and I was much more in my masculine self or side, I was exhausted.
Mm.
I was so negative. I was in such a blah energy. And now that I'm finding that sweet balance, I feel like I can still have that blah energy at times, but I can still be creative.
Yeah.
I can amalgamate both of them together and become the Shiv and Shakti, which are the gods in Hinduism, the Trinity and one of the Trinity and his wife partner. There's a beautiful version of Shiv and Shakti, which is called Ardhanarishwari, which means half is masculine and half is feminine. And
I love that.
entering into that same state, similar to the yin and yang, you have those energy and tapping into whatever is required in that exact moment. So that's where I am. I feel very balanced. And
So it's such a beautiful place to be in. And it's funny because when people first learn that they're like when I'm doing one-on-ones and stuff, I always like we kind of do this awareness. So we figure out like where you're operating from. And some people think that you know, again, it has something to do with like appearance or how like what it looks like. And I'm like, it's not about looks. It's about how like you're showing up, like how are you operating. So it's like, as I was saying, it's a lot of people in hustle mode, in the mechanical, in the doing, which is great. Like that's your driver, you need the doing. But it's when they come in and they learn about bringing femininity or the feminine energy into your business, it's almost like they teeter for a little bit. They like spend more time in the feminine. So they're learning, they're doing the self-study, they're connecting in with the higher power and also their like intuition. And then you almost have to like be like, okay, now we're gonna bring you back a little bit into the masculine. And it's just such a beautiful thing because once you enter into your feminine or you enter into your masculine, it shows up in different ways. And you've probably found this, like you even said, like you were tired, you were like, you were negative.
yeah.
And for me, when I am when I have an imbalance, it's almost always in the masculine. So I'm always like working like in overdrive, right? Like I'm very, I want to get things done. I like the structure. When I realize that's happening, then it's usually like eye strain or like my third eye feels like blocked or like I get the brain fog. Like that's how I know I need to come back to the feminine energy. I need to recenter myself. So it's just interesting that you're like you're saying I was very in my masculine and that's what you were experiencing. Like I feel like there's indicators in each energy that'll tell you like where that like imbalance is, if there's an imbalance.
It's also interesting that you talk about it because when you were saying, I was just thinking about a lot of different things, and I was trying to ask myself this question, like, why is the negative, why is masculine side supposed to be like very logical, very like action oriented? And I don't know how, but like my brain keeps on bringing this thing that as women, as girls, when we're growing up, we're told like, oh, be like a man, take the action, or do this, or don't be a woman. And and that's where it comes from, that we're not letting our feminine side out. Because when we think about not being gender specific here again, but again, as a woman, it's harder to balance, and even for men, it's harder to balance both the sides, and much likely we are stuck in either or. So can you walk our listeners through what does the balance between the feminine and the masculine side in business look like?
It looks like spiritually aligned action. And my mentor, she introduced me to this idea of spiritually aligned action. So what that means is it all comes down to, connecting in with source energy. It comes down to your intention, and it's not about how much you can do. It's about doing, it's not about the certain things that you do. Like when everybody wants to start a business, they want to be successful. They want to know like what is like, give me the roadmap, like lay out the 12 steps to it. It's not about the certain things, it's about doing those things in a certain way. So when you come into your business, how are you doing it? Not what are you doing, how are you doing it? So it's energetically aligning with that millionaire self, or energetically aligning with the, being the best practitioner in this area. What is the energetic alignment to move in and move as that person? So for me, before I even like get to my desk, or before anything I do, and we do it here with our podcast, we always get into spiritually aligned action. We're like, who do we hope this lands with, and then we do our little intention. So it's the same thing. Before I go and answer emails, or I even sit down at my desk for the day, or before I write, I get into, meditation, or I journal, or whatever spiritual practice is speaking to me that day. And I get into, okay, what do I want my day to look like? If I'm operating from my millionaire self, say that was like the identity that I'm taking on as millionaire Kristy, how does she move into her emails? Is she angry? Is she doing them for the sake of doing them? No, I'm doing them with love, with connection, with excitement, because I get to, converse with somebody. Am I, writing? Am I going in just for the sake of writing because I have to write? No, I'm writing for the reader they're gonna be their favorite book. And so I'm getting into the energy of being, right? You want to enter into the feminine to be, and then you move into the masculine to take your step forward. So you're already energetically aligned with that person, that future self, and then you're taking action as that future self. So spiritually aligned action, everybody.
Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Well, to just put a note on that, I don't think so. Being a millionaire, I'll become a billionaire, but my assistants will be writing those emails. So no.
So then act as if, right? Like, not even act, be, right? You're being. Like, that's what the feminine energy is. It's about being. And then you need, like, I feel like we're giving the masculine energy a little bit of like a bad rap, but we need it. It is needed. It's not something you discard. You can't just stay in your feminine, because what does being two in your feminine show up as? It's procrastination. It's like, I'm going to study all the books but not embody them. I'm going to meditate but not really. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite effect. So you need both. As you were saying, we need that yin and yang.
Yes.
To in business. And people think that being in business it has nothing to do with spirituality, and I challenge that.
Everything has to do with spirituality. There's, as we talk about the balance between the masculine and the femininity, I do need to work, but that's my masculine side, and then my feminine side will come in and be like, okay, now you deserve the rest.
Yep.
And we've talked in detail about rest in one of our previous episodes, and we've talked about our struggles and overcoming those struggles as a masculine aspect in another episode. So it's totally, truly the essence of being balanced and figuring out what needs to come in where.
So in saying and talking about spiritually aligned action and bringing the spirituality side into business, what do you believe is true for you, Akansha, when you are taking spiritually aligned action?
I think it's about attracting the right people.
Yes. Magnetizing.
Exactly. It's knowing and believing that everything works out at the end. Mm-hmm. The right people will come in. The right people will come in to support you, whether it be in your business, whether it be in your life, whether it be in any sector of you and your life, like any box that you've created in your life. And As I talked about in the previous episode, when you really separate the outcomes from the actions that you're doing, and you completely focus on your action and be true to it, things work.
Yeah.
Because you're not operating from fear.
No.
You are operating from faith. You're operating from trusting the universe, and more importantly, trusting your own capabilities. So even in those moments where, you know, your feminine side could be scared about the what ifs and whether I'm going to make those connections or not, or your masculine side being like, my network is my net worth, you are focusing on, this is my action, and I am going to do this action with the utmost love, peace, and faith, and I'm going to complete it. This is the karma that has been given to me, and I'm going to do it regardless. And in astrology, it's about balancing your sun and moon. Because your sun is the father, the male, and the moon is represented as a feminine energy. So it's balancing the both and seeing that, yes, you know, we're like in the day when the sun is out and you're very action oriented, and in the night when the moon is out, you're in the rest mode, you're in the loving zone, and you're creative. But then there's dawn and dusk, when the both are meeting and they're both in the same sky, and you're balanced. And just look at the sky at that time. It's the most beautiful thing a human being can ever notice, and it changes every day. And that is what spiritually aligned is, that your days are going to change every day. It's not supposed to look the same, but it's supposed to be beautiful. It's a you journey. It's okay to be doubtful. It's okay to be fearful, but it's also okay for you to come back into balance and ask yourself those questions, why. Saying that, Kristy, is there something that you would suggest to get into the feminine and get grounded in the masculine?
I feel like there's a bunch of things that you can do.
Enlighten us.
But I think the easiest way, I actually just made a journal and meditation combo. I think we'll link it in the show notes. I feel like our listeners will really benefit from this. So this journal, it's over the course of 30 days. So you can start practicing how to connect into the feminine. There's questions like, where are you, like, from where are you operating now? There's a little chart that shows you like the examples of masculine and feminine. And then I created this beautiful, it's called Entering the Feminine, or Into the Feminine Energy, something of that sort. And it's 5 minutes, and it's something you can do every day or a couple times a week before you get to your desk or you get to whatever it is that your business is, and just to get you spiritually aligned with what your vision, what you're creating for that day, like really sinking into the desire of what you're building and then moving into that. I think that's a really simple way to enter into the feminine and then get grounded to move into that masculine energy.
I love that. That's actually really nice of you and very kind for you to link it in the bio. I'm interested in doing this, I think.
It's not to toot my own horn, but no, it's honestly such a simple way. It's not, because sometimes when we talk about these different tips, like it feels like another thing we have to do. It feels like homework, but it's only homework until it becomes like habitual, right? So I think this will be a great introduction for people who already know themselves and are in the masculine and want to enter into the feminine, or are so in the feminine and want to find that balance into the masculine.
That is actually, I'm very excited to be doing that, Kristy. I think it's so important, like as you said, like working in the morning, and you know, when you have to do something creative and you want your intuition to be there, like listening to that, honing into the femininity and listening to the meditation, or finding a balance of being creative and action oriented. So not to be in the la la land all the time, and you know, just bring in your shiv and be like, okay, we need to do this, like let's do it. Like creativity, they're a team, people. They're not separate, they're a team.
So, Akansha, is there anything that you want to suggest to our listeners that will help them stay in this balanced state of being in the masculine and the feminine?
There are a couple of things. To add on to what you do is I always, start my work with a lot of gratitude, and I always say it out loud. Call it affirmations, call it gratitude, whatever it is, and really setting the intentions for the day that this is what I want this day to be like. Or if I don't know anything, I would just be like, universe, I hope the best comes out for today, and really believing in that. And chakra balancing is one of the most beautiful things that I would suggest. It's basically 7 chakras that hold so much energy into our body, from our pelvic up to our consciousness in the top of the head, the crown chakra. And each chakra is associated with something else. You can do it with crystals, you can listen to meditations, whatever is easy for you, or you can come over here to Neuropedia and I can help you guide through it. And by the way, most of our Shirodharas and Jaladhara, they come with those meditations if you like. And so it's like being calm and calming your nervous system, but also spiritually aligning yourself into this next mode and this higher state of mind, and operating from a balance state, because balance is very necessary. If we don't have balance, we are not operating to our fullest. So something that you can do, or what I've noticed, is when a lot of women are working from their masculine side, their throat chakra, or sometimes their third eye, as you talked about, it's very blocked and it's wanting to save or not being able to save because they're focusing on different things. And for women, I see like when they're too much into their femininity and the masculinity, or vice versa, like it could also be their heart chakra is very blocked, sometimes the root chakra too. So it's always good to even have that intentions, or at the night, something you can do is before you go to bed, I say out the chakras and I'm trying to balance it, feeling like the energies are moving through my feet, going up to all the chakras and balancing them. But before or after I do that, is I also imagine that from my root chakra, roots are growing down into the ground, into Mother Nature, going 6 feet under, and releasing any negativity or thoughts that are not needed for me for the day, that were not needed in my life, and letting that go, and letting from the other side the nourishment come in for a better tomorrow, for a sound sleep, for relaxation of my mind. And from my solar plexus, what I imagine is a bud growing, and I imagine it going, crossing the clouds into the universe, and forming into such a beautiful flower, facing towards the sun, and getting all the nourishment and the positivity for the next day, and clearing my thoughts. So that has been something that, consciously practicing. And sometimes I don't. I forget. I'm just a human at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, and whenever you have that energy, or you're feeling that you're not operating to the best of your ability, try doing it. I think that would be something that our listeners can do if they wish to, or don't let it be something that you procrastinate until you need it. And that's completely fine. Whatever feels aligned and right for you. And we're almost towards the end of our episode, and it's been so nice talking about a topic about masculinity and the femininity, and what we overlook and how to overcome that. And with that being said, I just want you to know that you're not alone in this. We have struggled, and we're still trying to find our balance, and neither are we ahead of you, neither are we behind you. We're walking with you in this journey together.